and I did my master's coaching certification
Yep.
under April's leadership. So April is a coach, is a leader, is a champion of all things personal development. But I would also say she's a mom and a wife and well, gosh, so many other things. And she was a youth pastor as well for
Many moons.
many years ago. And she's one of those weird folks that has a special place in her heart for middle school students. So all the things. But again, April, yes, I am beyond thrilled to have you on tonight. So let's see here. Tell us about Ezer Co, because the things you guys are doing right now are, shall we say, very pertinent to the place we find ourselves in society with, well, we're navigating uncharted waters and loss and grief and uncertainty and all of this. So tell us about your organization. Tell us what you guys are up to. What's it all about?
Oh, man. Well, it's totally a joy to be on here with you guys tonight. So thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Welcome.
At such a time as this in our crazy upside down world. So a year ago, I launched an organization, a company called Ezer Co. And Ezer is this Hebrew word that's used in the Old Testament. And twice it's used to describe woman in Genesis 2 when God creates woman. And it's oftentimes translated as helper, this word Ezer, when God God creates women. But 16 out of the 21 times that Ezer is used in the Old Testament, it's used to describe God. And a lot of the times that translation is translated as warrior, which is why I'm saying I'm the lead warrior of this company, rescuer, strong helper, even face-to-face deliverer. So this word that has been used to kind of put women in their place and tell them what they're supposed to be and do in the world and kind of make us secondary, less than, subservient to, is actually such a bigger word than what we give credit to, because we describe God as well, because we are image bearers. So I launched this organization, this company, a year ago because I finally just realized I've just had enough. I've had enough of the leadership gap in ministry. I was often the only female, or certainly the vast minority of a female leader at the table, or teacher, communicator. And so that leadership gap was the big reason why. But also because I think that all women lead, whether they lead in their homes or in organizations and companies and politics, in churches. And we need to help close that gap. And we also need for women to be whole in their life and in their leadership. And so really, like, the anthem, the song that we're singing is that we're going to help women be warriors and lead in all spaces. And yeah, so that's what we kind of have started with. And when I say we, it's really, a lot of times, many days, it's me, myself, and I. But we are growing, and it's becoming more of a collective thing, because I really do want to build this company in the company of other warriors and allies, like the two of you, men who want to stand in partnership with us.
So let's talk
100%.
a little bit about what kind of services you guys offer. You mentioned it's a company, but what do you guys do?
Yeah, so we started with straight up coaching, because that's how I'm trained. I love it. So group coaching for women, one-on-one coaching. But with this whole stupid pandemic that I hate it for all of the reasons. But we really pretty quickly have pivoted and have run pretty quickly to develop some things that we think are pretty important right now. So one aspect is some spiritual direction. We've got a few spiritual directors that are providing some group experiences to help folks just connect with God in ways that they might feel really discombobulated, upside down, fearful, anxious. And so our spiritual directors are working with some folks right now to help them find their center and really stay rooted and connected and centered right now. But one of the things that Joel, I think, was alluding to earlier is I grabbed a couple of groups of people who are youth workers, parents, people who love teenagers, and with particularly the class of 2020 that is losing graduation, senior skip days, proms, end of the year stuff, like it's really tragic. And the youth pastor
Yeah.
in me feels that loss with them. Like it's a big deal. It's really the biggest things that they have lost, up until this point in their life, event wise. And so our teams created some rite of passage experiences for teenage girls and for graduating guys that I'm so proud of. They're like mother-daughter experiences, father-son experience, where you can help to still celebrate where they have come from and all that they have experienced in their life up until now, and then help them to transition into what is coming next, and not to lose what has been lost in this season, but to really be able to still celebrate and own that. So yeah, I'm really proud of it. And I'm really grateful for the teams that have put those things together. I think they're going to be very helpful for churches and families that are looking to reclaim some of the stuff that's been lost.
Oh, absolutely.
And April, you've got both experiences for mother daughter and father son is coming. Is it out yet, or is it coming out soon?
This weekend, by
This
Friday.
weekend.
Our goal is
Awesome.
Friday for it to be launched.
So by the time this episode
Yes.
comes out, it'll be out and running. And we, again, guys, as you're listening to this, all of the info-y goodness can be found over at dudesanddadspodcast.com and our show notes. All the good stuff about April and her organization. You can get links to that and see what's going on. So right now, April, as you're doing this work, what are you hearing from people? What is your general sense of, because you've made these pivots to meet a need.
Yeah.
Like what are we doing as a society? What do we need to be paying attention to as we're trying to go faithfully? And I think of as people of faith in particular, this seems like, to quote our mutual sensei, Hendry, a crisis is a terrible thing to waste. And
Yeah.
so there is this season of opportunity here. What do we need to be paying attention to, do you feel like?
I think we need to be paying attention to our reactions to what's going on. I think we need to be paying attention to our emotions and what they are revealing to us. And I think we need to be paying attention to those that are around us and what it is that they are communicating verbally, non-verbally, in any way that they are communicating. Just the folks that we are quarantined with. I think we need to be paying attention to what's being shared, both like in media, but on our own social stuff. People are communicating a lot these days, and it's revealing a lot, I think, about what's really going on for us as humans, for us as a culture, as a whole country. And it's a lot. People are communicating a lot. I think, when you ask, like, in the first part of that question, what are you noticing that people are feeling, or what's going on with them? There's a lot of overwhelm, certainly. It's like everything has just been upended. Like I feel like what has happened is, like, we all got shoved underwater, and we got pushed like 20 feet down underwater and spun around like we're in a washing machine, and then let go. And we're trying to figure out, like, first of all, we're gasping for air. So we're trying to figure out, like, how can I find some oxygen again? But then, like, which way is the surface? Like, do I swim this way, or am I going deeper, or do I swim this way and I'm just going laterally, like, in the water? Or, like, what end is up, and how do I get a breath again? And, even as I'm communicating, right? It feels a little desperate. It feels a little like, like, I just need some air. I need to breathe. And that overwhelmedness is really palpable right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm personally feeling it. It's not like it's all external. Here's what I'm seeing everyone else doing. Like, I am in it. But I think that collectively, we have never experienced anything like this on a global level.
No.
Certainly 9/11, big deal. Like, that was a huge national thing. This is global. And so the global aspect of grief, loss, uncertainty, overwhelmed, old is gone, new normal is somewhere in the future. It's very overwhelming. So that feels like the best word for me right now.
Mm-hmm. And as you guys at Ezer Co are kind of pressing into this, I would just say for anybody listening, this is to take opportunities from to take the opportunity to stop, to focus, to ask the right questions of how am I really doing? How am I really doing without using the Christian F word, which is the word fine. Uh
Mhm.
People, how are you doing? Oh, I'm fine. No, not knock it off. Uh this is that's what I appreciate about what you guys are doing is really just trying to capture this moment and
Mhm.
take it captive for what it can be. I mean,
Yeah.
the opportunity here for people to ask some real questions about what's important to them, what
Mhm.
the rhythms that they have been
Yeah.
living in, what is
Yeah.
really essential, like what's really essential to our
Mhm.
life, right? Like,
Mhm.
uh, I've just been, I know I have found myself, uh, I had like a real moment. So just to get to the show tonight, as I was coming back from South Bend helping my dad out, uh, started raining big time, and then the sun came out, and there's a giant rainbow. Like I'm driving into a giant rainbow as we're coming,
Oh,
and I'm having like rainbows are beautiful and all, but I'm having a moment with the rainbow, right? And I'm like, I'm I'm not in a normal place. Like my reactions to stuff are heightened, and I'm like,
yeah.
well, I haven't taken stock all, like did not perceive today that anything was different about me than it was yesterday, and yet something is going on within inside of me. So
Mhm.
I think anytime that we can seek out help for people to hear from us and then help
Yeah.
guide, which is what you guys are doing, and I'm
Yeah.
so grateful for it, is it's a good thing. It's a good opportunity. And what else are you going to do? You're stuck at home. Take the time. Uh
Yeah.
do something for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Don't waste it, man.
yeah,
That would be
yeah.
like the biggest tragedy to me is if we all, while we are stuck at home, we stay stuck in our lives as well.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's devastating. I mean, that's beyond like we have been given an opportunity and a gift. And I mean, I'm not happy with all the things that I'm discovering about myself or about my family. Like there's some stuff, but that's part of the deal. Like if you're going to actually grow, if you're going to become who you've been created to be, if you're going to fulfill the potential that has been given to you and use the gifts that have been given to you, it's going to require you to pause and to do a little work. And now is the time. So don't stay stuck at home and stay stuck in your own life.
100%. Now, you mentioned your family, and I want there's the leader warrior April, and then there is the mom and wife April, which are not separate. I feel like they are coexisting together. Um, First of all, tell us about your wonderful family first. Tell us about yeah, who you call your kids and your husband, and what is going on with them, and then I'm going to follow up with how you're doing the parenting thing right now.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Okay, so I married my high school sweetheart. We have been together now for longer than we were not together,
Ooh.
which means we're old, is really what that means. We are going to celebrate 19 years of marriage this summer. He is legit my favorite person on the planet. He's just the best. And we have 3 kids. I call them my fave 4, which these days sometimes they're really not because just spending a lot of time together and they're great, but good goodness. So anyway, we have 3 kids, and our oldest 2 we adopted from Ethiopia, and then miraculously got pregnant with our third. And 9 months after we brought home our oldest 2, and then he came 7 weeks early. So his birthday we are actually celebrating this week, and he turns 8.
Oh
So
wow.
our kids
Oh.
are 8, 10, and almost 12. And which
Oh.
sounds super normal when somebody says, tell us about your kids. And 8, 10, and 12, that's great. And we went from 0 to 3 kids in 15 months.
That's
So
a huge change.
yeah, we've done hard things before. And all 3 of our kids have trauma. So our youngest has trauma, medical trauma from being a preemie and staying in the NICU for 20 days. But then our oldest 2 kids have all kinds of trauma through adoption and all the loss that came before our family. So this like quarantine thing is highlighting that. And that's part of, I think, that's what we're experiencing is the trauma is like elevated to the surface. But I think that on a meta level, like we're seeing our collective cultural countries trauma of stuff that we just haven't dealt with. And we have thought like, if we just keep pushing through, if we keep shoving through, if we keep like pressing on, that stuff doesn't exist. And the truth is the trauma exists. And so we are getting, we've been doing a lot of work around trauma in our family for the last couple of years, but we're certainly seeing new things and it's delightful.
Yes. And I should just mention, April's husband is just an he's an immensely attractive man.
Yeah.
And
I appreciate you saying that.
I know he gets all weird when I say it.
Yeah, he hates it. He's an Enneagram 5, if anybody knows the Enneagram. So any attention just makes him want to curl up and die. But he's Puerto Rican, which is kind of default hot.
Yeah, I think maybe that's the thing that I'm secretly attracted to. There's just this like Latin spiciness that I just really find intriguing.
I'm getting all hot. Getting all sweaty.
No, so your wife is sitting there right next to you, right? I mean, she is giving you weird looks right now.
She walked out real quickly. I don't know what that was all about. No, so yeah, the thing that I've always appreciated about you guys as a family is that you just kind of own who you guys are and the uniqueness that all brings. Yep. So as you kind of, and this is what I love it anytime that we as families are kind of able to, we're learning, the learning that we're doing as a family is also paralleling learning that we're doing kind of on broader scales.
Yeah.
It's like we're kind of in a little bit of a laboratory that's kind of figuring out bigger things. So based on what you're learning right now as a mom coach leader, what are some things that, like, if we're speaking to parents that are listening right now who are like maybe not sure what to do with these kids that they're stuck with right now and everything is upended, what are some things that you guys are trying to avoid doing?
Probably the biggest one is we're avoiding extremes. We're avoiding the like Lord of the Flies stuff where it's like there's no schedule and there's no expectations and there's like you just can do whatever you want and eat whatever you want and go to bed whenever you want and do your schoolwork whenever you want. That's not helpful because kids need rhythms and anchors. And so the extreme of like you can do whatever you want whenever you want is not serving us well. Or would not serve us well. But the other extreme of like, I'm going to be your drill sergeant and you're going to get up at the same time you did for school and you're going to get ready for school and you're going to sit at the table for 8 hours and do your, like, that's not really feasible either because Brian and I are both working from home and we're not like teachers. Like we are parents. Mm-hmm. And so we want to do that well. So those two extremes, I think, are what we're really trying to avoid. The other really significant thing we're trying to avoid, and again, because we are, I would say, more well-versed in trauma than the average family, we're trying to avoid minimizing their losses. Mm-hmm. And that is everything from the 5th grade Knott's Berry Farm trip that Judah was supposed to take to the fact that Asher is going to celebrate his birthday on Thursday without a party. Mm. To the fact that they don't get to go back to school and grab an item that they left in their classroom right before spring break started. And now they won't get it back, maybe ever. So just, they can't like we just went outside for a walk right before this podcast, and we ran into our neighbors. We're really close. Our community is really close, and our neighbors were outside, and like the loss of not being able to run up and give them hugs. Like my friend Misty was like, stay at a distance, Brandon, like social distance, don't back away from Asher. And it was like, I walked up to her and I was like, I hate that. I hate that we have to keep saying that. Stay your distance, like stay apart. I hate it. So just all of those losses, we are avoiding minimizing them. And what sucks about that is that like, that means we have to feel more of them because we're allowing them and we're giving them honor and allowing them to pass through. So those are, I think, the two biggest things that we're saying not going to do.
Sure. Now, do you find yourself also being able to not necessarily start new things, but you had mentioned kind of keeping it normal, but not being, drill sergeant, but not being super lax. But are you guys as a family finding this time to spend more time doing things as a family than you would have before?
Yes and no. I mean, I think like we live in Southern California. So, y'all live in Indiana. You got a lot of space. We don't
Right.
have the same kind of space. So we're in a 3-bedroom condo, and it's a fine size, but like we don't have a backyard, and we're pretty close. Like we're just all up in each other's space. So I think we're leaning into the traditions and rhythms that were important to us before quarantine. And this is week 6 for us in quarantine, in isolation. I don't think we're there yet in figuring out what are the new, more better ways for us to be experiencing this together. Yeah, it's been a bit of a hot mess. So
Sure.
we're sticking with the things that we knew to do, and but not like more time or more intentional time together. We've
Gotcha.
not figured that out, and I don't know that I'm trying to lower some of those expectations because we're just looking for some health and normalcy right now, and that's not really even a thing. So
Sure.
that's really helpful, I'm sure, to everyone, and hopeful.
Andy and I always joke on this show, like we're just trying to do our best not to screw our kids up. Like we're just really trying to make sure that we're not, I don't know,
Yeah.
engaging in, well, I personally, as a parent, I just have the secret fear that the things that I'm doing without knowing it, and this is like what I'm working through, like things I'm doing without knowing it are going to cause like some significant, repercussions down the road. And so
I would like to affirm that fear. That's true.
Yes. Yeah. And so right now, because my kids are with me more than they normally would, it feels like I have an elevated opportunity to either use those times for good or for evil, right? Like, to either invest in, because I'm really hoping that all of us, like when this thing is over, or when we go to our new normal, or when we're into our next phase, that our children look back at this and go, Mom and Dad did not lose their minds.
Yep.
They treated us well. They used it as an opportunity for us to maybe explore some new things as a family. But yeah, that's my hope. And because it's like, I don't want it to be like Dad just came unglued during COVID. Our family was a dumpster fire for 4 months.
That's amazing.
Screaming and yelling and
Here's a bit of an alternative view, though, because I think that's good. I think it's good not to like become unglued and lose your stuff on your kids, right? However, part of what I think the opportunity is right now is for our kids to see our humanity.
Yeah.
And a part of our humanity is losing your ish on your kids sometimes, and learning how to say I'm sorry, or like I've told my kids a couple of times today, I need a second. Like I can't be interrupted every 45 to 60 seconds and to hold it all together. Like I'm not capable of that. I am a human, and I need for them to understand like that stress is a real thing that I need to learn how to manage. And so I wonder if part of the gift is for our kids to see our humanity in a way that is hopeful and that still is holy. So like human, holy, and horrifying all go together for me right now. Like this morning, I sat on the couch before the kids got out of bed with my Bible and a journal, which I will be very clear has not happened hardly at all since we went into quarantine. I'm just exhausted. So I'm sleeping every single second that I can get, right? So I don't want to elevate myself more highly than I am. But this morning it did. It happened. I sat on the couch. Addisay, my 10-year-old, comes out of her room like less than 10 minutes later. And I'm like, for the love, I just needed some time this morning before it all started. And she saw what I was doing and she left and she came back with her own little Bible and with markers and a journal. And she goes, Mom, do you think I'm copying you right now? And she was asking because she didn't want me to say, yeah, because she thinks that's a bad thing right now. Like when her brother copies her little brother, she's so annoyed. Like, stop copying me, do your own thing. So I said, no, you're not copying me. But in my heart, I'm going, of course you're copying me.
Sure.
Of course you are following my example right now. You are following this model that I'm setting. And it was this holy and horrifying moment for me as a mom to go, they are so up close and personal right now in all my stuff 24/7. And that is unprecedented for us, you know? And so what if instead of like the fear that we're screwing up our kids, it is, I know that we are creating opportunities to show them our humanity, which is both holy and it is horrifying all at the same time, all day, every day.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Holy and horrifying. I think that about sums it up. That's that feels very close to home.
Yep.
So April, what would you, and I think you've probably touched on it, but like, is that the new normal that we're hoping for after this? Like when we look back, like when you guys when you're looking back both as a coach and a leader right now,
Yep.
but then also as a parent, when you look back, you're like, when you're saying, man, I hope the new thing that we have eyes for and the new thing we have ears for after this is what's the hopeful takeaway?
Can I give a couple of meta thoughts and then a couple of specific
please
practical?
do.
Okay,
Yes.
because I'm a visionary, like I'm a big picture person, but I know that like we operate in actual real life. So,
Yes.
I mean, I think one thing that I'm hoping for is that as we are at home physically, that we also become more at home with ourselves and with those who we live with. That there's a home, there's a safety, there's a comfort, there's a security, there's a knowing, there's this sense of being at home, you know, that this is a place to come and run to instead of away from. And that is definitely like with the people that you live with, but also like with ourselves, that we're not running from ourselves all the time. And I mean, I feel like that's the primary thing. Another thing that I'm really hoping becomes our new normal is that we realize more than ever that we belong together, that we belong to each other. That like the fact that I'm staying at home right now is because my friend, my neighbor Mika, has heart disease and she had 2 major surgeries before she was 35 years old on her heart, and she is very vulnerable right now as a mom of 2 young kids. And so I'm staying at home so that she is protected because I don't want for her to get sick.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I don't know that we operate like that most of the days of our lives, right? Like that my life really does impact your life. My choices really make a difference for you. The things that I buy, like as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner right now, like I'm palpably aware of like where dollars are going and not going, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that I want to support people who are doing like boots on the ground work, like with actual people. But also like COVID's revealed that this virus is really disproportionately impacting communities of color and low income communities. And so like those injustices, like we belong to each other. And if we don't take care of each other, it's literally life or death right now. And so I hope that that gets elevated, that the choices that I make, the things that I do, the ways that I act really impact people both close to me, but also on the other side of the world. So yeah, I think those are like my meta thoughts, like on a practical level, on a day-to-day. I hope that we're reevaluating our schedules and the pace that we live. We live in a really large community. And it's very family oriented, but like there's so many more families and people out for walks and like just hanging out with each other. Like I saw this family of 5 when I took my kids to like our little green space. And they like had this little relay race together. And I was like, I don't know that when was the last time that family of 5 did something like that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
I saw a family with 2 high school students walking together in our neighborhood, and I'm like, those kids have not been on a walk with their mom and dad in
since
years.
they were 7.
That's right. Yeah.
That feels like a real opportunity to go, oh, maybe I have put my kids in way too many extracurriculars. Maybe I have overcommitted my schedule and we're all just like rifle shots, you know, as a family throughout the week. Like that would just be incredible to me if we could reevaluate that. I would love for us to reevaluate how we spend our dollars. Like, are we giving them to places that are doing, you know, community development and justice work? Are we doing things that are actually developing ourselves, like reading, coaching, spiritual direction, like therapy? I cannot wait to see the therapist office filled at the end of this, because
preach.
we're a hot mess, right? Like it's revealing all of our issues. So like I'd love for people to become like really practically aware of like, how can I lead myself to my whole self, and be proactive in that. So again, those are just a couple of things that I'm really hoping for. I also really hope that schools open in the fall. So
100%. Yes.
I don't want to be my kid's teacher next year.
Yeah.
I want to find out who their teachers are.
April, I don't know how to do first grade math in Spanish. I don't know how.
I would offer Brian, but he has no capacity, so sorry.
I just like, I can read Spanish reasonably well, but because of this new math thing that they're doing, I felt really better when I actually had a native speaker tell me that, because I posted it like the math problem, and she's like, that's even hard if you know how to speak Spanish. And I'm like, I felt better.
It's Common Core, which is
right.
Insane.
Yeah. I felt better after that. I'm like, okay, it's not just me.
No.
Oh, April, these words you have shared are worth the price of admission alone. And I'm
$3.99. That's what I gave him for.
I love it. I love it all. And I also want to know, just say, and if I'm losing track of the days, they're all going together. Ezer Co, what do you guys have coming up? Is there anything how can people get on board with what you're doing, or join what you're doing, or have access to all the great stuff? Like, because a lot of it, you have schedules for things, but then you also have kind of come when you want to come kind of stuff too. So
yeah. Well, honestly, a lot of the schedule stuff is up in the air, right? Because we don't know when we can get on planes again. And,
right.
Be together in large groups, which are a lot of the things that we do. But I mean, I would say go to azerandco.com, subscribe to our emails, whether you're a dude and a dad or what am I? I'm not a dude. Am I a chick?
Dudette. We're bringing back
the dudette. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure if I'm on board with that, but
yeah, I don't. Yeah. We have. It's a little rusty. We got work to do.
For the dudes that have wives, certainly Ezer Co exists for them. So go subscribe to our emails, because we're committed to lead you towards wholeness in your life and in your leadership. So do that. Join our Facebook group. If you believe in the things that we believe about women, we'd love for you to be a part of our Facebook community, and follow us on Instagram.
And you have a podcast. You have a podcast.
Oh, I do have a podcast.
Thank you.
You are a
Andy,
podcaster.
way to go.
We would if we had not, if I'm just saying, if we had ended this show and had not mentioned that,
Sure.
the podcast powers that be, they'd shut us down.
Imploded.
immediately.
I mean, it's just like,
Yes.
All right,
you
so
can't talk about podcasts and lawn podcasts.
Yes, that's right.
so plug your
I have a
podcast.
podcast. It's called The Global Fringe. I love it. We're in season 4 right now, and essentially want to elevate women and people of color's voices, and from all over the world that are leading in really beautiful spaces. So even this next week, probably when this episode airs, having a conversation with Dr. Ephraim Smith about these really alarming disparities about people of color in poor communities with elevated, COVID exposure and positive results and stuff. So we're always talking about kind of justice issues, things, people on the margins that are being overlooked, and how we can be a people that use our power and our privilege for good.
Absolutely. Yes. April has fantastic guests, and I'm
really good.
Yeah, you just like that. Really good. It's very enlightening.
We had a sex therapist a
Yeah.
couple of episodes ago. If you're
Yeah.
interested in that, like, she was really awesome.
Yeah.
Really, really helpful.
And not in a weird way, an actual helpful way. And
Yes.
and then Pete ends, which, like, for the Bible nerd folks out there, like, my heart skipped a beat when I saw
Mine
I was
too.
like, Pete, sakes
Yeah, we're
alive.
best friends now.
That's
and
awesome.
I'm really grateful for him. So yeah, we've got really just great voices, people leading from the fringe that are helping us see the world through a different lens than maybe what we have been taught to see it through.
Wonderful. Well, April, you cannot get off this show.
Andy.
Yes. You can't get off the show without the being in the hot seat that we also like to call our...
Now it's time for the Dudes and Dads Pop Quiz.
Yeah, so this is the time that we randomly ask you 6 or 8 or however many random questions we can come up with.
You're in charge.
Because we want to get to know you better, because you're our friend and we want everyone to know who you are. So
yes, exactly right.
Yes. So
pop quizzes feel way too close to home these days, y'all.
This is way less academic than it sounds. I just want to let you know. So
all right.
And so, are you going first? Are you going first, or am I going first?
I'll go first. I'll go first.
Perfect.
All right.
Excellent.
So your favorite food, favorite takeout food?
Anything Mexican.
Well, okay, that's fair. That's good.
Do you want me to be more specific?
Yes.
Sure,
Let's go deep dive.
Yes.
Fajitas.
Oh.
Chicken fajitas from Javier's.
So she went from like being real generic to be like not even just the kind of fajitas, but like the specific place. So thank you for giving that. Joel, what's yours?
Mine is going to be the most favoritist gift that Brian has ever gotten you.
He's a really good gift giver. He's really good. Oh my gosh. I mean, dude, we've been together for over 20 years. How do I do this? Crap, y'all. Shoot. You're gonna have to edit this, Andy. Favorite gift.
Is there one that comes to mind quickly? We won't hold it to you that it's your favorite, just in case he's like, I can't believe that was your favorite.
He won't listen to this podcast. Let's be honest.
Yeah, let's be honest.
I mean, it is for him, but
right.
He's a nerd. He listens to nerdy things. Okay. Honestly, the first thing that comes to mind are just his words. He's an incredible writer. And after over 20 years together, for every birthday, anniversary, and Valentine's Day, he writes unique things still.
Ooh.
That are incredibly meaningful. I cry every time.
Listen up, dudes. Listen up. Get on that card writing. Beautiful.
All right. So because I'm a podcaster and a podcast geek, what was your favorite episode of your podcast that you did ever?
Woo. Man, this pop quiz is tough. I should have studied. Okay. I honestly, it's like, that's like picking a favorite child, because for so many different reasons, you like different episodes, right? The one that's coming to mind right now is Dominique Gilliard. He was in season 1, I think, of the podcast. So I had no idea what I was doing. But we talked about Rethinking Incarceration, his book, and systemic racial injustice around our justice system. And he's brilliant and gracious and incredibly challenging.
Okay, I'm gonna do a follow-up podcast question. Who's your dream guest for podcast?
Oh,
That's a good
Who's
question,
your dream
Joel.
guest? Because I really,
Michelle Obama.
really,
I would love her.
I thought you were going to say Brene, but that would.
Oh man, Brene Brown would be a really close second because I'm a total junkie.
I would if I ever had Brene on the show, we would quit. Andy, we would just stop the show after that. Be like, we've done all we set out to do. We're moving on.
Brene Brown's podcast too right now is really helpful for folks.
Fire.
So
Yes.
good.
Yes. 100%. All right, Andy, go for
All
it.
right. So you and Brian have been together forever, high school sweethearts. How did you guys meet? Did you guys meet in high school? And like, did he ask you out on a date? What those juicy details?
Yeah,
Yes.
juicy juice. So we met in high school, our senior year. He got transferred to my high school for his senior year, my senior year. And he had just become a Christian right before his senior year started. And by default, coming into a new school, he wanted to join campus life and become a student leader. And I had been a student leader like the whole time. So he shows up at our 7 a.m. student leader meeting on a Tuesday morning, but he showed up at like 7:20, not at 7. And I'm a bit of a
Yes.
do things right kind of person,
That's
right?
correct. Yes.
So he shows up 20 minutes late and he walks in the room, and I remember exactly where I was sitting. I remember where he's walking in the room. And my first thought that I had was, who is this dude with a nerve walking in here 20 minutes late? And my second thought was, and he's really hot. So afterwards, I went up and, like a good Christian who was being hospitable and welcoming, I introduced myself. And the funny thing is he does not remember that experience. He thinks we met 2 or 3 weeks later.
That's awesome.
But that is absolutely unequivocally untrue. So the rest is, we just became really, really good friends. We were both dating other people at the time, but we just became really dear friends. And he, like, the thing that I always say about him is he made me want to love Jesus more. And so that was like the defining thing that drew me to him and like started this little love affair.
That's fantastic. Men, are you making your lady want to love Jesus more? This is, wow, that's solid
That's
nugget.
for free too.
That's for
Joel.
free. Golly. Oh, I don't,
All
I
night.
I know we said Brene is the goal, but April, geez. Whoa. Let's see. April, what's your, I feel like I have
He just making these questions up
absolutely
on the spot.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Oh, okay, great.
I feel like I have to tap into the girly girl part of you. What is your favorite color of nail polish?
Well, I eat my fingernails, so that's a bad thing, but I always do my toes. So
Oh, you always do your toes. Okay.
my toes are always painted in some OPI color. That brand is great. And honestly, I don't really know.
Is there glitter involved?
Not really.
Solid color, high sheen. I know
So you're
nothing
taking this
about-
podcast to the whole new level.
I know nothing
We
about.
just lost all the dads and the dudes. They just pieced out.
You're like,
I don't even know. I'm not that girly
gotcha.
to even know what it is. But
Okay.
I just want my toes painted.
I wanted to push the envelope. I just wanted to see.
All right. So my last question here is, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Dang it. Can I have one place per continent? No.
This is your answer. You can answer it however you want.
I really am a total travel nerd. We've traveled quite a bit, and I've been to almost every continent. So man, it needs to be someplace that is very global, that is not cold, that is not cloudy. You know what? I'm going to say, just for the sake of this conversation, I would love to live in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. My kids are from there, and I don't think I'd want to live there long term, but I could sure do a couple of years there. It's very global. It's a really amazing place.
Cool.
Okay, final question for me. We always this question comes in. Do you remember what your first vehicle was? Like your first
Yeah, it
car?
was a baby blue Chrysler LeBaron.
The LeBaron.
It was like an
Ooh,
88 LeBaron. It was gorgeous.
wonderful. Well, I think that says it all right there. I mean, no wonder, no wonder
Brian has
life.
it.
Yeah, exactly. No wonder Brian's like any woman driving a LeBaron.
She's the one for me.
She's the one. Oh, congratulations,
Yes, you-
April! You have successfully completed the Dudes and Dads pop quiz.
Woo! I'm so glad. That was harder than I thought. I feel a little more stressed than I anticipated. Those were some tough questions.
She's
And
never
I'm
like,
going to have answer remorse. I'm going to want to come back and say, no, I actually don't want to live in Ethiopia. I want to live in Bali.
you're never going to come
Golly.
back on our show again because we stressed you out in the quiz.
Yeah, you're
Probably.
gonna have like PTSD from this show.
Hey, y'all, I'm well acquainted with trauma, so
Great.
let's bring it on.
Just bring the pain. April, again, you are my sister, my coach, my dear friend. I am immensely grateful for everything that you bring to the table. I love what you're doing to help. And like, if people listening, if you have not picked up on from Andy and I previously, like we really believe in the giftedness of men and women, and that they can work together, and that when they are working together, everyone wins. And
Yes.
so that is why people like April are on the show, because she is just, and I think, an embodiment of that value. You are living it out, sister. We're super grateful for you. So thank you for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate being a dudette and a mom. On the
Yes. Nailed it. Excellent. Well, friends, thanks for joining us for yet another episode. We're grateful. Remember, dudesanddadspodcast@gmail.com for all of your friendly thoughts, reflections, and violent criticisms. You can send it right over there, along with all the show notes from this episode, all the good info about Ezer Co, April, just a painful amount of information can be found at dudesanddadspodcast.com. So check it out there. And until next time, brothers and sisters, grace
And peace.
Now it's time for the dudes and dads.